What if I told you that one single bank connected the Vatican, the Sicilian mafia, global drug money, secret Masonic lodges, and the fall of communism in Eastern Europe? What if the collapse of that bank didn't end in a courtroom, but with a mysterious death under a London bridge? Because after seeing how much you enjoyed the series on the biggest crises of the last 120 years, today I'm launching a brand new series. This time, we're diving into the spectacular bankruptcies of famous companies whose sudden collapse wiped out fortunes, shook entire economies, and changed history forever. And for the very first episode, we begin with a story so dark, so complex, that it still raises questions more than 40 years later. The 1982 collapse of Banco Ambrosiano and the rise and fall of the man known as God's banker. Origins of Banco Ambrosiano. Banco Ambrosiano was founded in 1896 in Milan as a modest bank for small depositors, craftsmen, and the emerging middle class. For decades, it grew quietly and steadily, gaining trust and expanding its influence. After World War II, during Italy's economic boom, Banco Ambrosiano transformed into one of the country's most powerful financial institutions. But everything changed when a man named Roberto Calvi rose to the top. Calvi would eventually earn a nickname that still echoes today, God's banker. And as you'll see, that title was no coincidence. The night everything ended on June 18, 1982. The story did not end with a standard bankruptcy filing. Instead, it ended beneath Blackfriars Bridge in London. Roberto Calvi was found hanging under the bridge, suspended by a rope. His death officially ruled a suicide. But from the very first moment, nothing made sense. How does someone manage to hang themselves beneath a bridge in the middle of London in such bizarre circumstances? Even today, the truth behind Calvi's death has never been fully clarified, and many investigators believe it was murder disguised as ritual. Why God's banker? To understand Calvi's power, we need to understand his connections. Banco Ambrosiano was deeply tied to the Institute for Religious Works, better known as the IOR, or the Vatican Bank. Unlike traditional states, the Vatican does not publish GDP figures, financial statements, or clear investment reports, yet it controls immense wealth. In the 1970s, the IOR was run by Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, an American cleric with enormous financial influence. The IOR was supposed to manage the church's money cautiously, but instead it became entangled in risky investments and secret financial operations. Politics, religion, and the Cold War. In 1978, Karol Wojtyła became Pope John Paul II, and the story took on a geopolitical dimension. Banco Ambrosiano played a key role in funneling money into Poland, supporting the Solidarity movement in Gdańsk. These financial flows were part of a broader strategy to destabilize communist regimes in Eastern Europe. Money moved through Ambrosiano-linked companies, hidden behind offshore structures and complex transactions. What looked like banking on the surface was, in reality, global political warfare fought with cash. The mafia connection, but religion and politics were only part of the puzzle. Enter Michele Sindona, a Sicilian banker known as the mafia's banker. Sindona was deeply connected to organized crime, international drug trafficking, and powerful financial circles. He was a major shareholder in Banco di Sicilia and a close associate of both Calvi and Marcinkus. For years, rumors circulated that mafia money was being laundered through Vatican-linked institutions, using Banco Ambrosiano as a key financial artery. The secret lodge P2. Then there was a fourth figure whose name would explode across Italy years later, Licio Gelli. Gelli was the leader of a secret Masonic lodge known as P2. When Italian authorities raided his villa in the early 1980s, they discovered a list that shocked the nation. Members of P2 included politicians, generals, intelligence chiefs, ministers, future prime ministers, and influential businessmen. Even a young Silvio Berlusconi appeared on that list. Gelli, a man with no real financial or political credentials, had somehow become one of the most powerful figures in Italy, pulling strings from behind the scenes. A perfect storm of money. Banco Ambrosiano was lending money to Vatican-linked shell companies based in tax havens like Luxembourg, Switzerland, Panama, and Honduras. At the same time, Panama was a major transit point for cocaine shipments controlled by the Medellin cartel. The country was ruled by General Manuel Noriega, supported by the Reagan administration because of his anti-communist stance. Drug money flowed through offshore companies into banks and back into political and religious operations. Calvi wasn't really managing a bank anymore. He was executing orders from forces that often contradicted each other: mafia interests, Vatican needs, and secret political agendas. The collapse. Eventually, the system collapsed under its own weight. Liquidity dried up. Emergency funding from the Bank of Italy failed. Accounting records vanished. Key documents disappeared. Investigators who came too close paid the ultimate price. Giorgio Ambrosoli, the lawyer investigating Sindona's collapse and Banco Ambrosiano's fraud, was assassinated outside his home. Soon after, Sindona himself was arrested, extradited, and later died in prison after drinking poisoned coffee. The mystery of Calvi's death. When Calvi fled to London, he carried a briefcase filled with documents that could have exposed everyone involved. That briefcase was never found. On his body, police discovered cash and foreign currency, and one strange detail that captivated the media. He was wearing 2 pairs of underwear. Was it panic, or was it staged? British authorities initially ruled suicide, but years later, forensic evidence suggested otherwise. Hanging himself under that bridge would have been nearly impossible. Many believe it was a symbolic killing, possibly with Masonic overtones, designed to send a message. Aftermath and legacy. Decades later, a former Rothschild bank executive claimed in an interview that $5 million were paid to Calvi's killers. He died suddenly a year after making that statement. Speculation has never stopped. After the collapse, Banco Ambrosiano was merged into a new entity, Banco Ambrosiano Veneto, overseen by Carlo Aciglio Ciampi, who would later become president of Italy. Ironically, that successor bank would also fail years later during another major financial crisis. Conclusion. So what lessons can we draw from the fall of Banco Ambrosiano? When politics, religion, organized crime, and secret societies merge inside a financial system, collapse is not a possibility, it's a certainty. Roberto Calvi was not just a banker. He was a messenger caught between forces far more powerful than himself. And his death remains a warning carved in history. This is just the beginning. In this series, we'll explore more legendary collapses, Enron, Lehman Brothers, and other failures that reshaped the modern world. If you want to understand how money really moves power, you're in the right place. Like, share, subscribe, and stay alert. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often follows the same bank accounts.